Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and we have a fun one and an honest one that I'm going to be doing, my honest review of Kafka in Honkai Star Rail. Now, a lot of you regular viewers know that she's my favorite character in the game for her design, but of course, in this video, I promise you I'll be as honest and impartial as I can be. As you can see here, I already queued up 3 characters, and let's first talk about the major thing that is poking me, and I really want to talk about it, and that is lightning DPSs. In the game currently, relatively early on in 1.2, we have many different elements that we want to build in. We need DPSs for a lot of them, or at least breakers, so we can clear content in the game. This assumes, of course, that we don't care about waifus, husbandos, and we are being purely impartial, looking at characters the way they are, like their kit and everything, and ignoring design, ignoring graphics and all that stuff. In that sense, if we are looking at a box that we want to tick off here, for example, lightning DPSs, we have quite a number of options. The 3 of them here, as you can see that I queued up, all 3 have a very good amounts of AoE lightning damage and also breaking from the lightning perspective. They all, of course, fulfill like different niches and stuff like that. Each of them are slightly different in that way, but generally the function is exactly the same, where they are very strong lightning breakers and do a lot of lightning based damage in an AoE fashion, most of them, by and large. The other exceptions to this rule maybe are characters like Arlen, who is a little bit more like single target, but as you can see, the choices for lightning damage, we have plenty currently in version 1.2. That does affect my rating of Kafka, because if I'm rating a character highly, the character has to be of a rare element, a DPS that you can't really get elsewhere. For example, maybe currently in the game like Imaginary, or perhaps for example Fire. We don't have like a very super strong Fire DPS. I think those are key things that I will look out for when I'm rating units higher. So that's the first thing that I would put as a slight negative. For people who don't care about the alternatives, you really like the character, let's put that aside. Let's talk about some positives now. We go from negative to a bit of positive as well. I think the positive for Kafka is she has plenty of free-to-play options in her light cone. For example, Fermata is a free-to-play light cone. You can exactly get it for free at Superimposition 5 if you just do the Memory of Chaos enough. You can pick it up from the light cone shop in Memory of Chaos, push it all the way up to Superimposition 5. Works very well for her, gives her good break damage, gives her damage increase as well. So pretty free-to-play friendly, and she also has very good like other options. If you wanted maybe a bit more DPS, you can switch, for example, to Goodnight Sleep Well, which does like 72% DOT damage increase as well at Superimposition 5. At Superimposition 1, of course, is half, at about 36%, but still, at least she has very flexible options, a good damaging option at 4 stars as well. You could of course run her signature, you could run a versatile one like Resolution Shines as Pearls of Sweat to give defense shredding to entire of the team. You can run, for example, In the Name of the World, which is also Welt's Light Cone. They all work pretty well for her so far, and I think that does speak volumes about her flexibility, not only like her easy to build free-to-play nature, but also her flexibility that she can build into many team comps. For example, if you've seen my other clips where I compare, for example, Kafka with Jingyuan, Kafka with Serval, those are some introductory kits or clips just to give us a sensing of where her damage stands, and as you can see, with very low investment, she does yield quite high value returns for a lot of players. So the second thing that I want to talk about that is beneficial for this character is she's easy to build, very flexible. You can play her with characters, for example, like Sampo. You can play in a DOT team, Sampo, Luca. Even maybe you want to pair Serval a little bit if you want more shock application and stuff like that. You could play with Asta. That's like one DOT aspect. You could of course switch it around. Instead of playing Kafka in a DOT, you can go with as a secondary DPS, maybe playing with Zealer, for example, as I shown in one of my videos in a speed team. Zealer, you can play Kafka there as a secondary DPS, providing more of like a AoE DPS role like Serval or Jingyuan as a secondary DPS kind of stance. I think that's also really strong. Of course, if you have more money, you have more characters, you can play her as Silver Wolf as well. So you can see the options are like tremendous. Tons of options for this character. You can go speed, you can go crit, you can build breaker for lightning break damage. Very flexible, very good options to have. With Eidolon 2, especially if you want to go on to E2, she also does become a buffer when you have damage increase, which means that the possibility of power creep for this character remains lower than other characters who maybe only are specific DPSs in the game, like totally not supports. This does give her a bit more versatility if you have a little bit of investment. Of course, that is with E2, but it's not really free to play friendly because you need multiple copies of a particular character. Looking at her E0 kit in essence, do I think that she's very flexible? I don't think she's as flexible as, for example, E2 compared to a lot of other Nihility characters in the game. But I think one thing I want to point out is what she does is a DOT enabler, which allows you to play with characters that slow, for example, like Welt, which if you play slowing characters without Kafka or ability to proc the DOT immediately, you'll realize that the DOT takes very long to act, because the slower the enemy goes, the less DOT procs that you get. Kafka removes that aspect. You can run her to speed down enemies to keep popping the DOT on the enemies instantly. So I think that's another aspect that we can think about. She does open up a new playstyle. So all that talk, like all the things that I'm talking of so far, what is my honest review? I think if I were to rate her like on a scale of based on limited characters, like for example, Luo Cha tier is like probably number 1. Probably Silver Wolf is also around there together with Zealer if you want to compare. I think the best comparison would be Blade. Blade is an excellent comparison for Kafka because they are already lightning wind type DPS. For example, like you have Sampo here, you have Danheng here, they are all wind in nature, but the thing about Blade is he fulfills a role of a 5-star wind DPS, which currently no other character is in the game. So his value is significantly, in my opinion, in terms of expenditure, higher than Kafka because of the options if you already have, for example, Jingyuan on your account. If you don't have Jingyuan and you maybe skipped his banner, I think Kafka will offer similar value to Blade, especially since they are both strong characters. And in my opinion, based on what you think of Blade, I think Kafka will be more or less the same in my honest review of ranking. She's a good character, a strong character, very flexible, but alternatives do exist, and for that reason, I would not label her as a must pull unless you really like her design. I think there are more attractive options coming up in the next patch and the patches beyond. I think those are very interesting, especially if they are of imaginary DPS typing or maybe a quantum preservation unit. Very, very interesting, but I'll just leave it as that. I'll leave my preview for the next patch upcoming as well. Don't feel bad if you are skipping this patch or you lost your 50-50. I think you can always pull on a rerun. And with that, that's my honest review. I do this every single patch. Like, subscribe for more of such future content, and see you in the next video.
Does that hurt? Good times. Time to say bye. Boom. Didn't hurt. May as well kill them all.
You chose the wrong enemy.
Stand still.